First of all, huge thank you to the Chinatown ID Business District, and I want to acknowledge all the partners here. But after thinking about this for a little while, the true hero today, in many ways, is a gentleman by the name of Sam. And is Sam here? The father? Where is he? Oh, there he is. Okay.
Hiding in plain view.
So thanks for hosting us on this space.
Thank
and
you.
we have Diane, the three daughters, Diane, Dawn, and Darlene, who is behind us. And one of the things about Sam that I didn't know was that he escaped from Cambodia. By the way, the name of this place is named after the capital of Cambodia. And he helped start a new life. And now he's passing this baton to his daughters. And it's that intergenerational wealth that he has helped create. It's a huge, huge story. Can we give him a round of applause? Thank you. And by the way, he's written a book. Do you have a copy of that book? Why don't you showcase it for our media folks so that you can get it out there in the market? And there's a copy that he signed for the mayor. And you want to give a copy to
Sure.
our mayor?
Sure.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. I also want to acknowledge Councilmember Tammy Morales, who's here. Thank you. Thank you for being here on your busy schedule. I don't think Lisa Herbold is here. Any other dignitaries I need to recognize? Okay. But I also want to recognize my staff. Putting events like this is not easy, but also administering these public dollars is a lot of work, especially when you have different color of money all integrated. There's a lot of auditing, there's a lot of filing, and so behind the scene is just tremendous amount of work. So Teresa, who's the leader of the team on the neighborhood business district, where's she's back there hiding. And then Heidi, Ken, Philip, Peter, and we have a new member here, Megan. And we also have Hannah and Jacqueline on our PR team who has really helped organize this event. Today's event is really about an announcement of our grant dollars, 1.2 million. It's only in Seattle grant dollars that we're releasing publicly today. And the reason behind this grant really is to address a lot of the urban challenges that we're facing today. And the urban neighborhoods are under enormous amount of stress. And in part, it's because of the tremendous population growth that we've faced in the last 10 years. 20%, that's a lot. And this growth was in part to support the economic growth here in Seattle. So even with the tremendous economic growth, the population growth accompanied that, and that resulted in Seattle being the third most gentrified city in the nation. And so the cost of doing business is escalating. In fact, I was talking to Sam and the daughters, and they are concerned about the cost of doing business. They're taking a huge risk here. But the interesting thing about their family story is that their clientele, because they've been in the business for so long in this neighborhood, their clientele is very, very long. And they believe that those folks will continue to come back and help lift this business into the next era with the new generation, the daughters now running the show. And for people of color and underserved population in general, this economic boom has not been inclusive. And to have a fighting chance, the civic, private, and public sectors need to collaborate in ways we've never done before to have a fighting chance. And that's happening here in many of the neighborhoods through this grant. And one of the things that Tammy Morales have taught my team quite a bit already is that we believe that neighborhood-based strategies such as OIS is the most powerful form of community wealth creation. And this is an area that we'll be working closely on in the next 4 years. The initiative, the grant funding really is about capacity building. It's allowing civic, public, private sectors to come together and create a plan, and to create a vision, to create the right brand, and to execute. But it also addresses a racial equity alignment component as well. So this is a pretty progressive piece. And I want to congratulate and celebrate the great work with the business district today. I think we have some information on the front about various neighborhoods, and so if you want to check that out, that would be great. Lastly, I'm going to highlight another program, and this is something that I'm really proud of with OED. So because of different rules and state constitutions, we can't use general funds to help pay for the cost of build out like this restaurant. The TI cost here in Seattle is tremendous. It's around probably $350 per square foot. It's just really, really high. So most businesses just can't afford to pay for their TI improvements. And so what my staff did, and Ken, where are you, Ken? Okay, there he is. He's way in the back hiding with Teresa. Ken Takahashi actually went and got what is called new market tax credit and generated about $1.3 million last year outside of the city general funds, because that's a different pot of money, to help pay for TI improvements like this building. And so I want to thank OED staff for doing that. It's huge. And today we rewarded close to $1 million to 5 small businesses who we'll recognize a little bit later. I want to also, through this program, recognize our partners in the Central Area Collaborative, SCIDPDA, as well as Beacon Business Alliance. They played a critical role along with Seattle University to help shape this program. With that, I'm going to introduce our mayor, Jenny Durkan.
Bobby, thank you so much. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. This is really a great morning. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Thank you to the family for all you've done for Seattle, for your hope in Seattle, and for continuing to do this. I am really, really honored to be here as we celebrate 2 incredible programs at the Office of Economic Development at the same time, our Only in Seattle and the Tenant Improvement Grants. And I gotta thank Bobby Lee behind me, because the minute he got into Seattle, he's been innovating as much as he can to think about how do we protect and nurture and support and center the communities who are under most threat in this city. Seattle has grown so quickly. We have seen so many people pushed out of the city. When I grew up in Seattle, the Central District was over 70% African American. Today it's less than 14%. We know that communities of color are having a harder time keeping a toehold, and with them, they're great cultural places like this restaurant. Small businesses are the backbone of Seattle. They make up 95% of our establishments and provide 200,000 jobs. 200,000 jobs in Seattle because of our small businesses. But we know this incredible growth has made it harder and harder for our small businesses to survive or thrive, or for anyone even to start a small business. Commercial space is becoming more and more unaffordable, and it's harder and harder to have workers who can actually live in Seattle buy the small businesses where they live. So we're telling our small businesses that the city of Seattle supports you. We will support you in your moments of uncertainty. We will do what we can to make sure that you can continue to be a great part of our city. I'm really, really happy to be here at this restaurant. As many people know, as we learn, it's family owned and has been in this district for over 30 years. Over 30 years, and was forced to close because of the economic growing costs of Seattle. I'm gonna pause for a minute and just also say, I can't stand here today and talk about what a great place Chinatown International District is without thinking of Bob Santos, who put his flag in this area so long ago and fought for the people and the businesses. And we have a similar family with us today who has done that same kind of contribution to our city. Thanks in part to our $140,000 grant from OED's Tenant Improvement Fund, they'll be able to reopen to the public on March 14th. Congratulations. The goals of this grant program for small businesses are really important to really help businesses at that time when they may be facing the most uncertainty, but we know they're so important to the fabric of every community in the city. I'm also happy to announce that we have distributed nearly $1 million to small businesses struggling with commercial affordability in 2019. We focused these investments on the neighborhoods that are experiencing the highest rate of displacement, especially for small businesses of color and immigrants and refugees in the Central District, in Chinatown International District, and in Beacon Hill. I'm really proud to announce also that the Office of Economic Development is awarding $1.2 million to 17 districts throughout Seattle through our Only in Seattle program. And I see many of my friends who are from the other parts of Seattle. Let's give everybody a round of applause for all they're doing. The Only in Seattle initiative is really about empowering those small businesses and districts throughout Seattle, because I believe Seattle is not Seattle without that woven into the fabric of who we are. Again, I want to really thank Bobby Lee for all he's done, whether it's through the Small Business Stabilization Program, the rent relief package, or today's announcements. OED is taking great innovative steps to think about how we make Seattle more just, more affordable, and preserve those small businesses that are so important to who we are. I want to take a moment also just to really, this I think says so much about who we are as a city and as a country. We have a man who was incredibly brave, who survived the Killings Fields and was willing to write about it, who came to Seattle and started a business that thrived for 30 years, who showed his daughters what the American dream was all about. And today we're making sure that we live up to that dream. And while we may have a president and a federal government that tries to close our doors and build walls, in Seattle we will always support and welcome immigrants and refugees. So with that, I'm really also honored to introduce the new council member. It doesn't feel like she's new because it's dog days, right? Every day is like 7 days. But Tammy Morales, who has been committed to community, and the minute she started as a council member, really thinking about how do we create community wealth? How do we make sure that communities of color can not just thrive in Seattle, but can be centered in all our discussions and make sure that we are keeping that vibrant part of Seattle. So I give you Councilmember Tammy Morales.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Mayor Durkan, for the introduction. I'm so excited to be here. We all know that small businesses are the lifeblood of our community. They provide services and jobs, sure, but they also really provide us with a community space, whether we are enjoying a great meal, or we're getting our hair cut and socializing with our neighbors, or we're finding that special something that we need for our closet or for our household. The small businesses in our communities are the places that we go and the places that we cherish. So I'm excited to be here, and I'm thrilled that the Office of Economic Development has made it a priority to support small businesses in the city. And we're here today to celebrate two programs. As we've mentioned, the first is the Only in Seattle program, which is investing $1.2 million into our business districts. And these grants are more than just money. This is a sustained effort to support our business community, especially in communities like Chinatown International District and the Rainier Valley, which are both part of District 2. For a long time, communities in my district have been left out of the conversation about what economic development should look like. And I'm really excited that with Bobby Lee and as our new director with the Office of Economic Development, that he is really interested in looking, we have our sort of conventional approach to economic development, and it's important that we attract key industries and that we focus, that we include work on that sector. But those approaches are really about, just creating jobs or just looking at how we are attracting investment. I think it's really important that the Office of Economic Development is also looking at an alternative strategy for economic development that focuses on our neighborhood business districts and focuses on building community wealth, because that's how we're going to make sure that people stop getting pushed out of the city. It's through programs like Only in Seattle that we're developing our local businesses to keep local money circulating in the local economy. And that's how we make sure that our local assets build wealth for our neighbors. So we're asking our local business community to come to the table to help develop the strategies and the action plan for making sure that we have a successful small business community here, with the city as their partners in executing that plan so that we're achieving the vision that our small businesses and our local business districts have for their future. These are multi-year strategies. Nothing is going to happen quickly, but it's important that we recognize the value of this kind of alternative approach to really starting to build wealth and create wealth for our neighbors, including our small business owners. Because we know that when community is the driver behind the solutions, that's when we really start to grow the assets and the prosperity in our community. The second program is the Tenant Improvement Program. And we know that so many small businesses struggle to access capital. Even though we have lots of programs that might help with financing for new construction or might help with the relocation, there's always a gap in the actual build out of those facilities. And this is not a new problem, but this Tenant Improvement Program is one way that the city is looking at supporting the actual development and completion of some of these development projects, because so much of what we're doing, the resources for the ground floor construction is the hardest part. So I'm really excited about this particular program. And we're excited to have 2 businesses of the 5 that were funded are in District 2. So, Darzell, I'm going to try this. Phnom Penh. All right. So Diane, Darlene, and Dawn, and Mr. Sam, thank you so much for hosting and letting us be here in your space. We're excited to come and join you when you open. As well as Musang Restaurant, which is up in Beacon Hill. I will admit I haven't been there yet. But my family has been there when I've been at community meetings, and they tell me it's delicious. So I will be going there this weekend and look forward to enjoying that there. And the last thing I want to say is whether these businesses are reopening their space or finding a new space because they've been displaced, as we know is happening, what's really important is that we are finding ways to support these communities so that we can build community wealth, and so that Seattle is really supporting a local economy that is resilient in the face of whatever we might be coming down the pike for our community. So thank you all for being here. I want to introduce now Jamie Lee from SCIDPDA and Quynh Pham from the Executive Director of Little Saigon to talk to us about the programs.
Good morning, and welcome to the Chinatown International District. I'm Jamie Lee. I'm with SCIDPDA, and I have the pleasure of doing economic development work for over the 400 businesses that are here in the Chinatown International District. OED asked us to get up here and talk a little bit about what we do with small businesses in the neighborhood. I have to say that you see Quynh and I up here, but it's much more than just the 2 of us. We work really closely with a lot of partners across the neighborhood. Many of them are in this room, as well as with the Office of Economic Development and other partners that we have outside of the neighborhood that really help us, give the array of services that we offer to small businesses. What does that really look like? Well, it's direct work with small businesses themselves. So places like Phnom Penh, how do they relocate their business? How do they talk to a landlord, negotiating a lease, figuring out contracts, figuring out permits, which is a whole different thing within itself. And how do they really get to the point to where they are coming into this business and they're here today? This is a new construction. This building is brand new, as you can probably tell. And so some of the work that we do also is working directly with landlords and property owners and thinking about what can they do with their commercial spaces that really work for the small businesses that we have in this neighborhood. A lot of our businesses are small immigrant businesses, many of them not English speaking, so how can we break down the barriers, for them? And it not only happens with, coaching the small business, but also working with the other side and making sure that they're able to come into this space. And then once we're here, we offer an array of services, and this is not just SCIDPDA, it's not FLS, it's with the BIA, it's with the Wayne Luke, ways to really make this neighborhood a place that you all want to come to and, patronize as a business district. So thinking about clean streets, public safety, great lighting, public parks, things that really make a neighborhood special, not only just for the residents that we have, but for the people that come to the neighborhood. So it's really a team effort. It's something that we really take personally. And this space is something that I take personally. Phnom Penh, I went to for many years before it shut down. I remember when they did have to close, and it was a pretty emotional thing for our staff because we love going there after board meetings and eating. And so we're really excited to be able to have been an integral part of making Phnom Penh a reality and coming back into this space. With that, I'm going to introduce Quynh Pham, who's the Executive Director of Friends of Little Saigon.
Thanks, Jamie. I don't have too much to add besides I think the Only in Seattle grant has really forged a really great relationship amongst all of the partners. It takes a lot of trust building amongst the partners as well as working with businesses. Businesses aren't always open about their trade secrets and all the things that it takes to create what they create in the neighborhood. And so being able to open up and work with the neighborhood and the community and think broader than just your own business, it takes a lot of work to get there. And so a lot of the resources that we receive from the city has helped to move that process forward and support a lot of our collaborative work within small business. And so thank you so much for supporting us on that journey, and we hope to continue to expand and broaden our reach and support the businesses that come into the neighborhood. And so we're so excited to have Phnom Penh come back to the Chinatown ID, but in particular to the Little Saigon side. So with that, I'd like to introduce Diane.
Guys, thanks for coming out this morning and spending the morning with us. Just speaking on behalf of my sisters and my father and our family. This moment is really surreal. It's been quite the marathon to get to this point, and I can't believe we're just 2.5 weeks away from grand opening. So many faces in this room that have really helped us along this journey. And you know what? When we come together as a team, great things happen. If you look around you, this is evidence of greatness. But I also have to put a plug. It's because our contractors back there, ACG, built this. They were amazing. But you know what? This almost didn't happen. When we closed in May 2018, we knew in our hearts that we had to do whatever it took to come back. We went and we emptied our piggy banks. We went to the surrounding neighborhoods, other cities, because we know that operating in Seattle is expensive, let alone building out in a brand new building with no capital financing, no designing, no permitting, no construction experience. So we shopped and we looked around, but our hearts pulled us back into the CID. And it made sense. Our parents started here in 1987. We grew up here, we ran the streets. We ran across the street and went to what used to be the Monhey Bakery and we grabbed cocktail buns. We went around the corner and went to the Chinese shop to get our Chinese workbooks so that we could go across the street to Chonghua for Chinese class. Don spent the weekends here at the Chinese drill team. It just made sense, we belong here. It's been quite the journey. Building out a restaurant, opening a restaurant, it's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for us, and we knew that we had to do it right the first time. And this is why the support of SCIDPDA and OED has been invaluable, and we are here because of them. When we started this project, there was a huge gap, a financial gap. Even after scraping the piggy banks, getting loans from banks, loans from family members, the generous tenant improvement from our landlord, our 6-week crowdfunding campaign, our fundraising dinner that a staff person on SCIDPDA planned, organized, and executed for us, we still came up short. So we are so thankful for the sponsorship of SCIDPDA and in partnership with OED and their new tenant improvement funding program. They helped us close this gap, and they are the reason why we are here. We are so honored to be a recipient of this grant award. Mayor said it, small businesses make up the backbone. We are the footprint of Seattle. We make this city vibrant, exciting, and unique. Thank you, all of you, for making us a small business owner again.
Thanks, Diane. About, 3 months ago, I think I walked through here, and it was just a shell. And so in a 2.5 months, ACG built this place, designed it and built this place. There were a lot of challenges to the site because of the overhead, the space limitation issue, but they overcame it in 2.5 months. So let's give these guys a round of applause. They did a good job. Okay, we'll be announcing now the recipient of the TI award. And in Central area, we have, I don't know if the recipients are here, but if you are, if you can stand up and join us on the stage. Earl's Cut and Style.
Yeah.
Are they here? No? Okay. And then That Brown Girl Cooks.
Yeah.
Is she here? And Barbecue Pit. And that was in the central area for Chinatown ID, obviously, Phnom Noodle House. Do you have the award? Can someone bring up the award? And then for Beacon Hill, we got Musang Restaurant. Okay. You wanna hold it? We'll do a little photo op. Okay, good deal. Hey, you know, the real heroes here, I mean, at a government level, we organize money through a strategy, through Mayor's leadership and Tammy Morales' leadership and their vision. But the real heroes really are these folks who are putting their life savings on the line to generate wealth for the community. And so, congratulations. And I really believe that Seattle is a special place because of your people like you. And as the mayor said, so congratulations on your TI. And I think the mayor is going to entertain the members of the press.
First, I just want to say, who's getting hungry? I mean, it's amazing. And I have to echo what Councilmember Morales said. It's not just the space. The space is important, and having the restaurants are important. It's the joy every time a family or friends gather at that table. And that spreads out from it. So I have a couple of things to say. One is, if you are watching, go to a small business tonight, tomorrow, over the weekend. Support them in your neighborhood and community because they really, it's tough for them right now. And they're what makes Seattle so special. Second, I want to say is, if you have time in the next 4 days, come to Chinatown International District. The community, we have seen some of the restaurants, business has lowered because of misapprehensions on what's happening on the health scene. And we got to show support for these communities and these neighborhoods. Come get great food, shop in the great stores, go to Wajimaya, come down to Chinatown International District, go to Little Saigon or Japantown. It's a great place. It's my 3rd time here this week. My whole cabinet's going to be eating here this afternoon. So do that. Go to small businesses in your neighborhood and communities. It's really what makes Seattle special. It's where we all love to gather, the little shops, the little restaurants. And with that, I again just want to thank you all and your whole families, because owning your own place is tough. There is no time off. You're there all the time. So make it worthwhile, and let's give them all a big hand. And if there's any questions from the press, quickly, we can take a couple questions, and then I think people have got things they want to do, like eat. No questions. It's all good, guys. Thank you very much.